We're joined by Warren Binford, law professor at Willamette University and an eyewitness to the conditions that these children have been suffering. Warren Binford joins us live now from Los Angeles. Warren, good evening to you. Tell us about what you found at the Border Centre. And I'm also interested in knowing from you how old these children were or are.
Well, that was one of the things that was shocking. Your story described this as a child detention center, but actually this is not a child detention center at all. This is a Border Patrol facility that is intended for 104 adult males with holding cells, open toilets, things like that. So when we arrived and we discovered that there were 350 children, more than 350 children being there, we were quite shocked. And when we looked at the roster of children who were there, it included children of all ages from 0 to 17, including some child mothers who were trying to take care of their infants. In addition to that, we found that the toddlers and preschoolers didn't have anyone there taking care of them, such that the older children, some of who were as young as 7 years old, were trying to take care of the toddlers and the preschoolers. In addition to that, one of the child mothers, her infant got sick, and because there was no one to care for the sick children, she ended up having to go into the quarantine area to care for her infant, and she too developed this severe influenza that's affected approximately 15 children there. And she then became sick with influenza, could not take care of her infant, so her infant was then given to another child to take care of. So basically what's happening is you have children who are sick, you have children that are in cells where there are as many as 100 children in these cells. One boy described that when he first got there were 300 children in the cells. Many of these children are being housed in what is literally a metal warehouse with no windows. And it is the worst circumstances that I've ever seen children being kept in the United States of America. And I'm sickened by it. It's just
indeed, and let's underline. This is happening in the United States, the land of the free, the leader of the free world, as we always say. These children lack the basics. Could you spell out what that means? The basics that they've been lacking. Obviously, you've detailed harrowing things about sickness, but tell us about the basics that they've not been getting.
Yeah, so basically these children have not been getting regular showers. They've not been able to brush their teeth on a regular basis. They've not been given healthy food on a regular basis. They are being given instant foods and frozen foods all day, every day, that 3 times a day they are given Kool-Aid, which is a highly chemical sugar punch, and a cookie, and then in the morning they're given instant oatmeal, at lunch they're given instant soup, and for dinner they're given a frozen burrito in addition to the cookie and the Kool-Aid. And they are hungry. They are feeding the babies this, they are feeding the child mothers this, they're feeding the sick children this. There's no variation in this diet. In addition to that, the children are given open toilets in the cell for the ones who are in the main facility, and there is no privacy. These toilets are out in the open, and they have no soap in the cells, so that they are literally urinating, defecating, eating, and sleeping in cells that are overcrowded, and they have no way to even keep their hands clean because the government is not providing soap to these children at any time other than the showers, which are infrequent and very short in duration.
Can't even wash their hands, can't even brush their teeth.
The children don't have enough places to sleep.
Absolutely.
No, and they're sleeping
shocking.
on the floor. There are, there are. And that we've heard of the children have reported of infants sleeping on the concrete floor, sleeping on cement blocks. They've described toddlers and preschoolers sleeping on the concrete floors. It really is a dystopian nightmare for these children. And it's hard to believe that this is happening in the United States of America. It would be hard to believe that this is happening anywhere in the world, but for a country that is as wealthy and purports to be as committed to its children as the United States, it's hard for me to reconcile.
But what you're telling us is absolutely heartbreaking from a human perspective. It's hard to think that this could even be legal. That's another argument, of course. How did the border officers explain this situation to you?
Well, what they've explained, and this part is absolutely true, is that they are not set up for these children, that the children are not allowed to be in these facilities for more than a few hours. So basically what happens is a child comes across the border, is being separated from their family, being reclassified as an unaccompanied minor, and then the Border Patrol takes the child to a Border Patrol facility where the Office of Refugee Resettlement is supposed to pick up that child and within a few days reunite the child with their families. They're not supposed to be in these Border Patrol facilities, which are notoriously horrendous for any significant period of time. But what has happened is that ORR has been so fundamentally mismanaged over the last couple of years that they are not picking up these children and providing them with the beds and the reunification services that are required under the law.
What might seem ironic to people with this next question is that there's clearly money being spent on this, because this doesn't happen for free. So I'm wondering if someone's making money out of this, or is this adding up to a colossal waste of money?
Oh, this is one of the most shocking. I can no longer say this is the most shocking part, because all of this is so shocking. But one of the most shocking parts is that in the midst of this mismanagement, the government is currently spending $775 a day to keep the children in some of these ORR facilities. Some of these facilities are run by private corporations and have owners and stockholders who literally are making profits off of locking these children up. So when you hear that children who are only supposed to be in ORR facilities for a few days are actually there for 9 months or longer, you start to wonder what is driving this incompetence. Is it the management? And if so, then these people, then the company should be replaced. Or is it the fact that they are profiting from keeping these children and not returning them to their families? The American taxpayers could save more than $1 billion a year if all they did is take these children as soon as they come into government custody, and for the 42% who have parents living in the United States, simply put them with their parents. And then there is another 46% who have other relatives or guardians living in the United States. We could have these children, actually it's 86% of it. So my math was a little bit off, but 86% of these children have family or guardians in the United States. And if the government would simply give these children back to their families who can take care of them and love them and want them, then we would save the American taxpayers literally billions of dollars.
It's amazing you can treat someone so badly for $700 plus per day. I imagine one could live quite well on $700 a day if you had that money to spend for yourself. Final question. This all came from Donald Trump's zero tolerance policy. I'll give you this one. What's your message to Donald Trump?
My message to Donald Trump is to please, please, please put the politics aside. Call on the Republicans to put the politics aside. Call on the Democrats to put the politics aside and put these children in the center and focus on them and make sure that they, for the few days that they may need to be in government custody, that they are safe and they are put in sanitary conditions. We will come to DC and work with you. We have experts lined up across the country who are pediatric experts. We will meet you at this facility. We will meet you at the border. We will meet you wherever you need to be to sit down and bring both parties together and try and come up with a bipartisan solution to ensure that these children receive the care that they need. But please, everybody, stop politicizing this. Set those politics aside and let's come together over the children who are in our country.
Indeed, it doesn't matter how you vote. These are children that are being mistreated in this terrible way. And Warren Binford, you've witnessed firsthand the conditions that these kids have been living through at the detention centre, which is not in any way designed to house children. Warren, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Warren Binford from Willamette University, law professor who has been to the detention centre in question.